directors that I would fight with my life to pay this loan. I mean, some of my staff are here. I used to tell them that, look, you see me, that I would die standing up. I'm saying it to also motivate young people, that I will start, you know what it means, that I will walk and be, that I will lie down and say, look, the world has come to an end, though. So that's kind of values I believe in. So at the end of the day, we kept fighting on. We sold everything, and I say along is still there. So I'm talking about people who were involved in this. But at the end of the day, if we had backed down, we would have sullied our reputation, and it wouldn't be possible for us to even start Virgin or any other place. But because we were determined that no setback should vitiate our long-term goal. And I also say this to people who are in employment, who are doing business. You're likely, you cannot avoid setbacks in life. But when it happens, what I tell people, look, setbacks for me are part of the bumps on the journey to your destination. They are, in other words, the setbacks are part of the bumps and the journey to your destination. They can only slow you down. They shouldn't deter you from getting to your destination.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Just for the audience here, yes. Please, this is an interactive session where please just signify us if you have any questions or you need clarification from our guest speaker. However, for those viewing online, please go to the question session and please note your question down. We'll get back and respond to you. He will respond to you. Sir, coming back home, Virgin Forest Energy. For the past 2 years now, there's been a change in the sector, the oil and gas sector, and with our own refinery, as it is, even if it's private, but supposed to serve the nation, it is ideal that things will become easier for us with regards to transportation. Basically, Nigeria is powered by fossil-driven power. But sir, it seems the reverse is the case. A lot of players in the industry have pulled up, small players have pulled up, some have removed. Even the big players are now selling their entities here. Sir, we would like to know how you've been managing, how you've been able to stay afloat with regards to these challenges.
I think that question is most appropriate, but let me hazard a guess. Let me support. Okay, one of the things you do, because we're talking leadership, so I'm going to expand every question into leadership. I've said, start with the vision of yourself. So organizations must also have a vision of themselves. And then when you have a vision, from the vision you have to define the mission. The vision is like, who do I even want to be when I'm mature? When I've accomplished everything? And that once you do that, so like I said, you're also going to have setbacks. But the other thing you need to know is that when you have your vision, you must have a strategic plan on how you want to achieve your vision. Your strategies are already defined, are remodeled, and refined along the line. It's like a football team. A coach will come and say, we're going to play 4-3-4 or something like that, or 3, whatever you guys call it. And then you say, look, I'm facing this team. So I expect they will use this player and this player and this player. And then the key thing, your strategy must be dynamic. Do you get what I'm saying? So when you say your strategy must be dynamic, you must continue to what environmental scanning. You must know what environment is. The change environment is very dynamic. There is no business that has been around for 100 years that was doing exactly what it started doing. So the fact that environment has changed does not mean, why companies fail is that, and I always say this, look, companies fail not because of hostile macroeconomic environment. Companies fail because of failure of leadership to transform their strategy in tandem with changes in environment. And if successful leaders, successful businesses are those who are able to front load the actions ahead of the changes in the environment, they perceive the environment, then they say, look, this is going to be this, what the environment is going to be, and because the environment is going to be this, I'm going to take these measures ahead of even the crystallization of what will happen. And I give you an example, which is what you asked. For instance, when we're setting up, when we started Virgin, we started as, at best, a bulk breaker, a retailer. But when we matured into the point where we wanted to buy a tank farm, which is a very critical asset for the downstream operators, we said, look, we're not going to buy the tank farm in Lagos. We're going to go to a place, because by then Dangote has started constructing his tank, his facility. And we said, look, Dangote will disrupt the Lagos market. But because the cost of fossil fuel is, the cost of transport is a major cost in the cost of fuel. So it will still be cost efficient to take products from even Dangote refinery to Port Harcourt or Oron or outside Lagos. To truck the entire consumption of the country from Lagos will not be cost efficient. So even if Dangote puts a truck to Aba and we load the same product from Dangote at the refinery and take it to Oron, we will land at filling station in Aba cheaper than what Dangote will land. So we thought through that, and we said, look, this is what will may eventually happen. So when we thought through that, we said, okay, for that reason, we are going to build our critical storage facility where there is no competition in terms of refinery. The second thing we said was, look, we are going to build our retail outlets under what I call a winner spoke arrangement. Because some people ask me, why do you have your retail outlets mostly in the East? I said, because you don't need to go and verbalize that, but the truth is that what we did was a will and spoke arrangement, where we say, look, our station will be some distance from our major storage facility, so that when there is stiff competition, all we just need to bring products and distribute to our stations. So we are trapping the entire value chain of that retail business. And those are the things that we thought through. So like I said, even at that, there are changes. So in as much as you define, but you must have a clearly defined strategic plan. When you have your strategic plan, you must now be consistent, consciously and regularly review the strategic plan, see if it's still in tandem with the environment. Excuse me. Beyond that, we have also said, look, beyond liquid fuel, we also look at going to gas. And today we are implanting gas facilities in our retail outlets. So we're saying subsequent retail development must have a gas facility. So you expand your source of revenue from a retail outlet, as well as you also de-risk the investment you're making in retail outlets. So the key thing is that, like I said, the take-home point is that it is leadership that fail when organizations fail, not environment that fail. Mm-hmm. So the businesses that are failing are because of the quality of leadership. I had an encounter yesterday. In Cali, we are trying to transform further into other lines of business in tandem with our area of business. And I had a relation with two.
Mr. Chairman, sir, you had earlier said it is not the business that fails, right, but the leadership. Exactly. So I'm going to take you back to what you earlier said as regards the issue you had, the setback you had whilst you were, setting up career and all of that. As a leader, how were you able to, what would you say were the qualities that stood you out, that made those persons you were leading have confidence in you, even when you were experiencing those setbacks, to still say, oh, regardless of this position or where this person has taken us to, I don't think I want to back down. We are humans. We understand that, of course, a leader would make mistakes and all of that. But at that point in time, what would you say made them have that belief in you that regardless of what has happened, I will still remember Mr. Johnson Chukwu, because I know that he's heading somewhere. I would not back down.
I never said everybody followed me.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so.
Okay, let me put it in context.
Yes.
The reality is that there's no attribute you have that everybody will love you and follow you to your grave. It doesn't exist. So the key thing is this. You must have shared values, to have shared interests, to have commonality of interest, where your success is your success and your success is your success. So people work towards their own personal success, and because of doing that, they also work towards their corporate success. But even at that, there are instances where people who were even your rabid supporters, your loyalists, may not be able to face the intensity of the fire. Okay, so we've had instances, but the truth is that once you,
Wow.
I'm sure my colleagues here will remember. Two of the people who were my right hand men, when it's like in the Bible they say, hold my hand, let's keep fighting. When they saw how bad, how thunderous the wind was, and they felt that they wouldn't sink with this, two of them came to me. Obviously they would have talked to themselves, because the first thing came, I said, you can't leave now. We're in this together now. And this started carrying before me, because the day we were supposed to start carrying, the bank held me back and said, I need to give them another 6 months. And they came and started. So they were the pioneer staff. And I'm talking about senior people, senior. Without me, they were running the company. And then the first person came and said, Oga, it's difficult to say this, but I've looked at this and I have another job. So I need to go and take that job. I said, but you can't do this. And I said, no, I have to go. I said, no problem. That's fine. The next, I wanted to call the other person so that we can discuss your colleague. He's going, and then she came to me and said, Oga, I'm sorry, but I didn't get another job, but I just want to go and cool up. I can't continue with this. So it's not that I'm going to any competitor. I'm not going to any, but I can't continue. I want to. So just imagine in that situation. But like I said, there's nothing you do that everybody follow you. But what did I do? Like the Bible said, David encouraged himself in the Lord. I sat back and said, look, I wasn't born with any of them. And therefore, as a matter of policy, which is also why some people may think I am a strong person, I long realize that neither your parents nor your children will be with you all through your life. My father is gone. And I'm sure some of you have lost one of your parents. So you need to build your personality, your spiritual strength, your emotional strength to withstand losses that are close to you. Because they will happen. If you do not part with people in a work environment, somehow you will part. It's either you part when you retire, or you part. Some people will die at work. So one of the things I learned is that the loss of even a critical staff should not be the end of the organization. But the take-home point, the nugget is this: you must build an institution that does not rely on any individual. And that's why in a good organization, they say you are key man risk. You must de-risk a company of key man risk. You must make sure that if this person is not there, another person will do the job. It's very important that you de-risk every organization of key man risk so that nobody's absence will lead to the failure of the organization. And I tell people, look, if you run a business or if you lead an organization where one person will determine whether the business continues or not, you don't have a business. You can as well shut it down. So, having said that, the other part of what you do is that you must engage. At that point, I was having regular meetings with the staff. I was sharing with them, and they must be brutally honest. And that's why in Cowley, I don't sign most terms. There's nothing in Cowley that I have information on. There's nothing. In fact, a lot of things that I would need to seek for the information from my colleagues. So, but basic thing is that you must be brutally honest with people you are leading. 2, you must continuously communicate, share the situations and what you are doing about it. You must show them the path out of the difficult situation. Otherwise, people will lose hope. They tell you that what is promise delayed is promise deferred. You see, promise delayed makes hope the heart to go faint, something like that. So you must tell people, the people who work with you must see, look, this situation we find ourselves. The leader has charted a route that will take us out. Otherwise, they won't die in the trenches with you forever. If you are a general leading an army and you are surrounded by enemy, if you want your men to keep fighting, you must assure them there will be a reinforcement. Otherwise, they will just say, what's the purpose of fighting? Then we are they're going to kill us. But if you assure them there will be reinforcement, they will fight with the expectation the reinforcement will come. And that's why in life, you must maintain positive hope. Life, once people lose hope, they lose the desire to live. They lose the desire to fight. And that's why I did a conversation with my colleagues last Monday where I said, your faith will determine your fate. Your confidence that will come out of this situation makes you to fight on. If you do not have the confidence you come out of the situation, you will not be able to fight on. And I'm sorry because I'm a minister, so I'm not ashamed to say that. The 10 lepers, not the 10 lepers, the lepers that said, look, we would rather die than going to look for food and sit back here and die. And because they were carrying their walking stick, they were making so much noise that the enemy ran away. So, but because you must believe that the future exists for you and that you are strong enough to take the future. So when the setback comes, it could come in any form, but make sure you communicate, make sure you share, and you must live true to what you have said. And that's where I started. You must be honest. You must speak, walk your talk. You can't tell the staff that, look, you know what, let's fight on because we're going to come out of it. But they had a history of you that when things were good, you are the one that was chopping it alone. So if you do that, they won't work with you. So yeah, whether people will abandon you at some stage in your life, it will happen. But you must be the center of your life. That means you are not looking for validation permanently, and you don't lose awareness of who you are and where you are going to. These things are very important to deal with: setbacks, disappointment, betrayals. They happen in life. Do you understand? I had a friend who went to bury another child not too long ago. Because his son didn't show love for him, he became miserable all his life. And I'm sure that misery was this is why he couldn't survive, he couldn't live on. So he wanted the love of his son. He loved his son to smithereens. But when his marriage failed, the son aligned with the mother, and he couldn't get over it. So you must have the strength of character to look. You are not born with anybody, you're not going to die with anybody. Just achieve what you want to achieve in life.
Thank you very much, sir.
That was really insightful. Thank you very much, sir.
So we're beginning to get questions from online.
From our online audience.
I have a question here from Mr. Justin Uzokwe. He would like to know, sir, when you wake up every morning and carry out your daily routine, irrespective of your domestic responsibilities, do you have a routine that is periodic, daily, or step by step that helps you remain and maintain who you are?
Okay, it's not really a routine, but one of the things I do every day, because when you talk about routine, I wake up, I kneel down and pray, that I do very short prayer. It's that for me, it's not a routine. But one of the things I do that have helped shape me to who I am today is I do self-introspection every day. Self-introspection, I ask myself, what did I achieve yesterday? What did I say to anybody? What of my conversation yesterday? Did he defy me or belittle me? Was I productive the previous day? Okay, I have conceived this idea, we're going to do this. I review those ideas. on a daily basis. If I have a clear vision, if I have a plan, I have a strategic plan, mentally, I review the strategic plan of the companies I run on a daily basis. And I don't need to. So every moment, okay, Kayode Ochasani was here. I was telling them 2 days ago, some of the processes of what we're doing, I have revised it. Even this one, I woke up. In that my moment of introspection, I also modified some of the things we want to do. And so you must do self-introspection, self-review of yourself, self-assessment of yourself. This self-assessment must be very brutal. Brutal in the sense that you're telling yourself the honest truth. Am I doing well? What have I done since the beginning of this year? What have I done this month? What have I done? What did I do last week? Is it working to, was it contributing to where I'm going to go to? Am I just loafing around? Because one of the things, one of the ironies of life, one of the tragedies of life is that I can see some of the young people here who may be in their 20s, before you know their 30s, their 40s, they think, you know what happens? You wake up in the morning and then you go to work, you walk by roads, do this, your routine work, go back. People who work with me see how I review documents. I will correct every little detail because I have 100% attention to that document you think is useless that I'm reviewing. And if you ask me of anything I approved, I will remember it because my attention was 100% on it. But when you distract yourself with noise, and I'm saying it because a lot of people have their earphone, so you put it on, you are not able to think. Your mind is on the music, but you're not a musician. If you're a musician, it makes sense because you're listening to music, so you're going to create a new one because you have internalized what others are playing. But if you're not a musician, why are you clogging your mind with music all the time? I don't do that. Do you guys observe I don't wear? In fact, I no longer have it. It's as bad I no longer have it. I used to have it, but I no longer have it because I realize it clogs my mind and does not allow me to think when I should think. So if you want to be extremely successful, you must use your mental capacity 100% plus your physical capacity. If you underutilize one, you will not achieve the most optimal results.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So we have a question from the audience.
Sir, let's start from the gentleman.
From Prof.
Sir, please introduce yourself and your question, sir.
Chris, good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, audience. Chris Kali is my name. Chris Kali is my name. I'm on sabbatical leave at one of the best investment banking firms in Nigeria, Kaori Assets. Okay, so my GMD, sir, I have a question for you. You know, in the 21st century corporate world, sustainability and profitability is a major choice to be made. So, sir, how do you reconcile sustainability of this interest and profitability?
Okay, the truth is that they are not mutually exclusive, and because they are presented as being mutually exclusive, you need some level of profitability to be able to achieve your overall sustainability goal. Where people think they are mutually exclusive, they are contradictory. If you are pursuing profitability alone, then and you are doing things that are unethical or that will jeopardize the future, which is one of the things we have discussed here. So it ultimately unravels the future. But if you have, which is the first thing is you must define your overall long-term objective, which is the vision we are talking about. If you are defined, and then you define your strategic plan on how to achieve the vision, and you define do's and don'ts, which is what called core values. So when you define those things, every action you take must be in tandem with your core values, must be on the route to your strategic objective, and must be ultimately designed to achieve your overall vision. So in that case, you need profitability to pay salaries. You need profitability to retain the best people. But you can be profitable without being unethical. We just talked about where we say we are not going to do a government-related business. And we focus on private sector. And we know private sector will give us enough. Some of the transformation we've done as a corporate entity are part of the strategic objectives. Some of those strategic objectives could actually be, you start a business that is not profitable in the meantime. But there must be profitable business that you're doing that will sustain that one that is a growth objective. But it is necessary that for every business, because one of the things I will tell people, no business owner will continue to go and harvest money from somewhere and give you to pay your salaries when you say you're pursuing an objective. So your long-term objective must have measurable milestones. Even if the business starts with a non-profit operation, it must say, look, this lack of revenue will be for 3 years. We are going to grow this volume of our customers, this side of our customers to this level, and this is the break-even point. Then you are focused on, look, I want to be the best financial institution in the world. For me to be a best financial institution, I must conquer Lagos. So I need at least 10 million customers. But I have only maybe 200,000. But at 200,000, I can't make profit. But when I have 1 million, I will make profit. Because then what should be my strategy to acquire the 1 million customers? So you now define, am I going to offer convenience service? How do I convert people who are already loyal to other what am I going to offer? And I give you a live example. When we started Guardian Express Bank, I was a pioneer CF, I was a pioneer staff. We conceptualized Guardian Express Bank then. And then we came to start a bank. And then the people will ask us, so what do you guys want to do? The big banks then were the likes of UBA, Union Bank, First Bank. Those were the 3 big banks. And we said to ourselves, you go to customer, everybody go to, you say, look, I have an account with UBA, I have an account. Then Diamond Bank was there, GT Bank was there. Those are the next in line, the 2 of them. Access Bank was not there. Standard Trust was not there. Standard Trust later became part of UBA. So we said, ask ourselves, if we continue what we're doing, we're not going to even move the needle. You're not going to scratch the surface. You go to every customer, they say, I have an account with First Bank. Remember that it's not the time when you have online payment. So it's check. So you have the right check. So the concept that it doesn't matter where your account is, if you have money with me, you can move anywhere, it was not existing. So why would they move money from First Bank to you and pay a customer who's also a First Bank, which you take, clearing days were 4 days. So for any transaction you're going to do with them, you have 4 days of delay. And what did we do? We said, look, if we have to survive, we have to be creative. What did we do? We said, look, one of the income streams of banks is what they call COT, cost of
Charges on transaction.
Cost of transactions. So we said, look, we don't even have the customers, we don't have the transactions. So why do we want to charge COT? We came out and I granted interviews on NTA. We launched a zero COT bank. When was launched a zero COT bank? People say, what? I can do transaction without paying. And the customers started flooding to us. Because that COT was 5 per million. For every 1 million naira, you pay 5,000 naira. 5,000 naira was a lot of money for people as at that time. We introduced a zero COT, and then we did not have an account to be cannibalized, so it wasn't that we're going to lose anything because we never had the customers in the first place. And we said to ourselves, when the money is moved to us, we have a float. From the float, we place money, we lend. We didn't have money to lend. Remember that, so we didn't have money to place with any bank. And we would rather be sitting there waiting for COT. But the customers came. For every money that flew to us, it will stay at least 4 days. Because even if you bring it today and issue a check, it will take 4 days for the check. So, and that 4 days, we place money, we became a net placer in the interbank market. And then over time, we built what they call float balance. People now had confidence with us to even make their investment with us, place money with us. We began to lend. But what I'm just saying is that even in your strategic objective, you must be creative enough to know how to position yourself in the market, how to compete. So overall growth objective will be oiled by the profitability of current operation. As long as that profitability is not from activities that will be injurious to the overall objective. Any activity that will damage your reputation as an individual or a corporate organization is not worth touching with a pole. Because that reputation damage cannot be repaired. You can repair any other thing, it's only thing you can repair.
Sorry, please introduce yourself and your question.
Do we have a timeline for this?
Yes.
Yes.
In less than 10 minutes.
Time for response.
My name is Ayo Kubikole Salami, and
What?
my question goes as this, but I will pose it in form of a scenario also. I mean, the theme of the session also has to do with value-driven leadership. But I also want, I like to also hear the other side of leadership most times. I like to hear failures, where Oga has struggled in some things. So my scenario is this, there are certain times that, because some of us have gone through, where we've been in the room with you, and it was time to make a decision. And probably you made a decision, we did not agree with. We don't agree with that decision. And maybe some of us grumbled and said, this decision wasn't making any sense, right? And lo and behold, that decision maybe wasn't right. In that situation, sir, as a leader, that you have recognized that this has happened, that you are not perfect, and what do you do? And you know what? I admit my mistake, because admitting a mistake is very, very difficult for leaders also. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to take it, broaden it, and I'll answer the question. But what time do we have for this session?
We'll be rounding up in the next 10 minutes.
Okay. Okay, one of the things I had said earlier, that nobody's infallible. Okay, what happens in leadership is that sometimes a leader will have information that is not very easily available to everybody. And the leader may take a decision, but maybe information he has is false or wrong. Maybe he didn't know his information is wrong. Because the first thing you have to make sure that your decision must be very altruistic and must be logical. Did you get what I'm saying? Your decision must, based on sound logic, must be altruistic. Altruistic means it is the overall interest of everybody, every stakeholder. So, but it doesn't guarantee that you'll be correct. But one of the things I tell people about leadership is that if a leader is a good leader, because you have bad leadership and good leadership, if a leader is a good leader, you do not have to bullshit when, sorry for the use of that word, when you fail, when you make mistakes. The first thing you need to do is that when you make mistakes, which happens in every leadership, you count the cost of your mistake. You look at what went wrong. You look at how you got it wrong. And then you retrace your steps. And then you will, some mistakes are irreparable. In fact, most mistakes are irreparable because mistakes are past. But what you do as a good leader, you will ask yourself what went wrong. What did I get wrong? Where did I miss? Okay? When you identify what you have missed, you make sure that it doesn't repeat itself. That's very key, that you don't repeat your mistakes. Okay? Then you do not have to pretend that you are right. In fact, I think anybody who says I'm right, I have superior knowledge than everybody is a fool. It's not wise. Because the benefit of collective wisdom is always superior to individual wisdom. So what you do when you make a wrong judgment is that you accept you have made a mistake. You fouled up. You don't pretend because you are MD, so you can't make mistakes. You accept you are fouled up, then you ask yourself what went wrong. What did I miss? What you miss may just be, like what I said, the opinions that your subordinate had expressed. And while we're saying that, your MD was motioning to me, I'll give you an example. I'll come back to that example. So, what you may have missed is that they actually correct to be a taker knowledge that your subordinate have that you don't have, which you did not accept as part of the input for your decision making. So, but the basic thing is that one thing you must not fail to recognize that when you make a mistake, accept you have made a mistake, it doesn't demean you. In fact, the truth is, when you accept you make a mistake and repair it, or take measures to make sure it doesn't happen again, it elevates you. It doesn't belittle you. So leaders must not be afraid to make mistakes. And in every position you are, everybody is playing a leadership role, no matter what level, we make a judgment call. Decisions are the responsibility of leaders at every level, including your children who go to school. You can come at a child and say, look, Mommy, I don't want to go with the bus. I want to drop me. I don't want to be dropping me, I want to go with the bus. The decision a child can make. Each of them have implications. But bear in mind that every decision you take has ramifications and implications. Every decision you take must have implications. If you take a wrong decision, the implication will be negative. If you take a right decision, the implication will be positive. But don't ever be afraid to retrace your steps. As a leader, I've never been afraid to retrace my steps. I've made decisions that did not conform. I'll give you an example because I wanted to share with this one with the issue, but your MD is mentioning to me that she doesn't want to share it. Okay. But I'll come back and share it. So in Kauri, at days I can remember very well, pushed and pushed, we should have a BDC. And I said, no, we shouldn't do BDC. We don't need to get involved in BDC business. Eventually, my decision was wrong. The BDC became a major lifeline for us. We eventually had to retrace my position that we shouldn't do a BDC. And we got 5 BDCs. Hey, is that right? Yes, we got 5 BDCs. And BDC, for some period in time, gave us good money. Is that correct? So it was a decision I took. On the trade I was talking of, your last AGO, Miriam made it, no. When Donald Trump made his announcement and price started going, I said we should lock 1,000 metric tons. I couldn't imagine that the drop we saw was going to go further. I didn't imagine that the market would react so violently because my training, because I said you can make wrong decisions. My training is that when the market has a flash drop, lock in. So I took it for a flash drop. I didn't know it was a systemic collapse. So eventually, we lost money because we locked at higher rate. We locked at 650 something. 656. The price eventually got as low as 580. So, but I've not seen that before. Based on my own training and exposure, the judgment was that if you see a flat drop because of announcement effect, take it. So I took it. So at the end of the day, your MD followed it down. I realized it was right. From even when I tell her to lock her, she resisted. I allowed her. But what did I know? I recognized that my training was wrongly applied in a different environment. So you don't sulk over it. One of the things you also know is that when you make a mistake, you don't sulk. You don't start weeping, the heavens are fallen. I have taken a wrong route. I will tell myself, I regain it. One of the things you must not go away, live here without is that when you have a setback, you make effort to regain whatever you've lost. Because setbacks are going to happen in life. There was something I told MD at some point, and when you go into transaction that it's a loss, most people say, let me hold on to it and the market will recover. No. And the story I used to say is that, look, you have a child, you are nursing the child died. You're not going to keep the child on your laps. So what do? Bury the child, go back to your husband. By the grace of God, you will conceive. Again, I have another child. If you continue to mourn on the dead child, it will not bring him back. You understand what I'm saying? So philosophies about successful entrepreneurs is that when they have a setback, they accept there was a mistake, but always make sure you learn from your mistakes. Don't allow any error to go unrecorded. The lessons of every mistake must be documented, and you must make sure you internalize it so that it doesn't happen again. When we had the market crash, I had to do a document that, look, the family business, family wealth must not be in one asset, this and that. I document and shared with them. I said, look, even when I'm old, this is the lessons from the capital market crash. Don't put all your money, no matter how profitable any transaction is, don't bet on your balance sheet. Make sure you don't, no matter how profitable it is, don't break about it. But the summary is that accept you made a mistake, know the mistakes you made, document it, don't repeat it. Be bold enough to accept, be courageous enough to accept your mistakes. And finally, let me mention this to you young people. The position you are in life is a summation, is a product of the decisions you took along your journeys of life. Where you are in life is a product of the decisions you've taken. Some of them had a minus, some had a positive. But as long as the decisions, most of them are positive, they will give you a higher present value, net present value. That's what they call it. Props is here. It's what called the decision tree. If any of you did anything I call decision tree, you know that the decision node, we have to take a decision, go right or go left. Take this, you compute the net present value of that point and compare it to the net present value of the other one, take this decision, take a route. And cumulatively, that is how our lives are built. So the decisions you take in life, you should try to make sure that your deliberations are thought through, they are deliberate, and you reassess the decisions on at regular that which we are talking about introspection, so that you will able to continue to compute your present value. Ultimately, wherever you achieve in life, the value you have created as a person will be a summation of the decisions you took. Like I said, the ones that are negative must be so infinitesimal in the weight when they put the context of those that are positive, but they will certainly be negatives.
If your hands are not too busy, can we give a round of applause for the time? All right.
Ma, I don't know if it's addressed to concerns or questions you wanted to ask, or you still.
No, just okay. Chairman, sir, thank you again. Just to ask more questions. Is it wrong for a leader to accept before his or her colleagues that he or she made a wrong decision? Or you just internalize it and try to make better decisions?
Okay, what the leader should do is that when you make a wrong decision, you accept you have made a wrong decision, and you can accept that with whoever is involved. What a leader shouldn't do is to dwell on that mistake and continue to bring it back, and then cloud his emotional life so that he's not able to look forward and do the right things. So what I do is that when I make a wrong decision, I will confirm to you that I made a wrong decision, so we move on. But if it's now brought back and then be pushing on your face, so that becomes damaging, because it's going to bring in negative emotions. Those negative emotions will now allow you take actions to, in fact, what happens to people, you now begin to lock in and begin to protect yourself. That way, the benefit of the mistake you made is now lost, and then you're not able to lift your mind up. So once, in leadership, once you guys have discussed it, mistake your subordinate, if a subordinate makes a mistake, or whoever, your boss or whoever, you guys have discussed it, don't dwell on it again. Focus on how do I create a value that will outweigh or neutralize what, even if you one person that made that mistake and it has brought all of you down. Identify the mistake, express your opinion on if it was a reckless mistake. If it was a mistake born out of altruistic motive, accept it was a genuine error. Then ask yourself what went wrong, but don't come back to it. Focus on what we need to do to regain the lost ground. That is very important in leadership. Otherwise, once you go back and you keep pushing to the person's face, you made us put this, you made us put this, the person locks out and then it's no longer contributing. It now begins to perceive negativities. And you are dwelling on negatives. And one of the things I told somebody yesterday about leadership is that a good leader is forward-looking. You look at the mistakes, you recognize the mistakes, you know what went wrong, you internalize it, you learn from it, but you don't dwell on it. You don't look back. You continue to look forward. Because it's only when you continue to look forward that you're going to regain lost grounds. But for those of us who are playing that situation, when there's a mistake, discuss the mistake, know what went wrong, so they don't repeat it. But but don't dwell on it. Once it's discussed, don't even bring it up again. We bring it, anytime you bring it up, it's negative energy. Eh? And it doesn't help the person who did the mistake. It doesn't help you. So you're just holding yourself down. And I'm sharing this with those of you here, because I know in instances where you can have a somebody who made a mistake. I said, you put us in this mess. You put us in this mess. The fact that you say it 100 times does not change it. Oh, we're all in this mess, so no problem. So how do we come out of this mess? Forget about who put you in the mess. Focus on how you, because otherwise you are not going to move forward. So that's what I do. So sometimes you see me when a decision is made and we know we've made a mistake. Whoever made a mistake in the organization, we've lost money now. We lost money. Somebody had made a wrong judgment. You lost money. I don't want to repeat the ones that because it's not here. I would have mentioned that some of the mistakes he made, and we lost money. And then I would tell him, you fouled up. Da, 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 da. And then for me, next thing is I fold my sleeves. If I need to go and fight those people and recover part of it, I wouldn't even mention to them a staff took that decision. You understand what I'm saying? So the key thing about leadership is that with mistakes, because there's no way you make mistakes in the organization. When it happens, the organization will identify what went wrong, address that so it doesn't happen again, and own the problem. It becomes an organizational problem. And focus on galvanize the energies of everybody to recover lost ground. Because once you begin to dwell on the individual who made a mistake, you are dead on arrival. So that's the lesson I want to get here.
So we'll take 2 more questions. We've been getting questions from the gentlemen. Can we have 2 more questions from the ladies before we call it a day? Please, the lady first told me. She had her hands up. Has it been addressed?
Oh, no, so, sir, thank you so much for the insightful, sharing these insightful experiences with us. So I want to ask, this is the 21st century. We have the tech, the younger people, the tech boys and girls, and what do they call it? We have Generation Alpha and Gen Z now. Values are shifting. The traditional way of doing things have changed. Coming to work 9 to 5, working. Some people will say the most important thing is making their own contribution or handling their own responsibilities. So it doesn't matter if they do it 9 to 5 or 5 to 9 or 12 to 4. So what ways have you had to adjust? Because you've been a leader for a while, and you're still a leader now. I'm sure you are working with the young people. And I know that you like working with young people because they are very dynamic, they are open to learning. So what ways have you had to adjust to the young people while still maintaining your values? You've not had to change your values, but you've had to adjust to working with young people. And what ways are you also instilling your values in these young people?
Okay, what we're seeing is not a change in core values. What we're seeing is a change in practices. The core values will remain for life. Values of honesty, hard work, integrity, all those values will remain forever. So what you're seeing is change in the environment. There's a change in environment and change in practices. I'll give you an instance. Hard work, even when I started banking, was that there was no laptop. In fact, I started banking when there was nothing called laptop in Nigeria. Okay? Internet was in, there were people who had internet at home. In fact, we used to talk about Foladela had internet at home and stuff like that. So, if you have internet at home in VI, people will know. And then eventually the offices had the internet. So I started working when there was nothing called internet. But in any case, the basic thing I want to share with you that hard work then was, you get to the office by 6:30, you work till 8, 9, you go home, you come back the next morning. For those of us in financial control, we work Saturday and Sunday. Because I'm sure maybe probably, I don't think anybody of you will have an idea what I'm talking about now. we had the adding machine. To balance your ledger, the ledger was hand prepared. So you have a machine. Then the roller, the thing will be rolling as you are typing the numbers. 1,250 plus, 1,330 plus. Then when you finish, it will add, you're adding. Then you print it out. You now put it by the side of the ledger, you'll be taking to be sure that the figures you type. So that when you confirm that you can now write the total, then you do it again on the, if you have on the balance sheet, you did it on the asset side, you did it on the liability side, maybe it doesn't balance. You start taking your figure again. Just to tell you, but that was hard work. But the practice has changed. Today we have convergence, almost everything can be on your phone. So, but it does, hard work has not changed. The only thing the practices have changed. So, the core values have not changed. But every dynamic leadership and organization must also adapt to changes in practices. Am I going to say that because I learned that? And I give you guys an example. There's a guy called, I remember his name now. When I was in Intercontinental Merchant Bank, in 1995 or 1994, they introduced, they began to bring what do you call it, PC, personal computer, to us. The bank bought its first set of personal computers. And then they had, in 1993, brought what they call electronic typewriter. The electronic typewriter could have memories for the last 2 jobs you did. Because the pure typewriter you had was, they finished typing the document, print it, there's a mistake, you have to retype it again. You guys don't know what we went through. You know, you type a letter,
It's the transition that is amazing.
And then it's somebody, you must, ASDH, space, colon, LKJ, space, LAS. That's how you will type, so you must learn it. Then you finish typing, you give it to your boss. He reads and says, Johnson, go and correct this. You have to type it up again because there was no more. You started off again from address, So you can imagine how task it was. They did now introduce electronic typewriter. So the electronic typewriter will have memories of the last 2 document words you did. So you must make sure your guy corrects everything before you give the 2 other tests. Because those other tests will wipe out the first one that you did. So in any case, we transited to a personal computer. And this particular person, who was Secretary Head of Human Resources, refused to accept, because he was so good with his electronic typewriter. So we kept telling him that this thing you are not doing, So he said no. But remember that we were all struggling to even use the PC. They will bring people to teach us. They will arrange this kind of training just to teach you how to use the PC. They introduced to us who we are think on Lotus 1, 2, 3. And you guys may not have heard anything. That was a 4BR to worksheet. Spreadsheet. Okay. But he had formula. It was formula based, so you have to learn the formula. So in any case, this guy refused to adapt. Eventually, I left Internet in 1997. I think by 1998, they asked him to go. What happened was, IBM, that was also the people who were buying the PC from, phased out electronic typewriter. So the typewriter will easily become unserviceable. It broke down, they couldn't repair it. And every other secretary had learned how to use it, so they asked him to go. But what I'm just saying is that core values remain, practices are changing. For you as an individual, you must be open to new practices. For organization, they must be open to new practices. The dynamism of practices are so unique. The other day, somebody was saying that Ayo is here now, and Henry is here. That it was a management meeting 2 Mondays ago. That whether the migration we're going to Microsoft, Google Chat, we should remain with WhatsApp. And then we say Google Chat, not people have embraced it and stuff like that. So there was a comment that was made and said, look, that Google chat is also evidence for legal cases. It's admissible in court. But Henry now quipped in, or Henry or one of you quipped in and said, look, even today, we have amended the law, evidence law, as a country, to accept communication, electronic communication. Previously, if it's not signed on a paper, it was unadmissible. So what I'm just saying is that the values have not changed, practices are changing. The core values which you hold on to will not change. The practices will change. The practices do not subtract from the core values. Core values are, like I say, hard work, honesty, loyalty, stuff like that. They won't change. So if somebody working from home and hard working, it will still show.
Thank you very much.
We'll take one last question from our audience so we can wrap up for today.
Are you, introduce yourself.
My name is Patrick Chia. So we would like to take a question from live chat. That's fine. So the question is, what strategies do you use to promote diversity and inclusion in alignment with your values?
Okay. For us, promoting diversity and inclusion is that the values I believe in is that we are all created equally, we are all equally endowed, and that I don't know what it has to do with my upbringing. I don't know where I picked it from. I am blind to sex, I'm blind to race, I'm blind to tribe. So probably because I also came from the East, schooled in the West. So I wouldn't know how I picked, but I realized that for me, it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. I won't judge you based on where you come from, whether you are young or tall, short or tall, man or woman, fair or dark. I judge you based on what values you give, you bring. So for us, because we are race blind, sex blind, height blind, other things, people just come. We are only conscious of one factor. What value? What's your competence? What's your unique selling point? I think one musician played the music and said, what's your selling point? Mm-hmm. So you must come with a selling point. If you have a selling point, you are in with us. So, and for that reason, we don't know. I don't even know whether a person is a man or woman. And if I give you assignment, we also don't care whether you're a man or woman. So you can't come to me and say, look, you know I'm a woman. I wouldn't even remember you're a woman.
Thank you very much.
So we'll call on our MD to, help us in giving us a vote of thanks to appreciate our chairman and for everyone who has joined us today. Our online audience most especially, thank you so very much. This is the first maiden edition. There's going to be a second and subsequent one for
the next quarter.
For the next quarter. So we look forward to you joining us online, and for our physical audience, we appreciate you for your time and for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Chairman, sir, thank you so much. We can't thank you enough, sir. I know what it takes to bring you out and for you to be here for 2 hours. And I'm sure we have learned a lot, both everyone here and people online. We've learned a lot. Everyone is a leader somehow. So whatever position you see yourself, please do make good use of it. Do not feel threatened by being a leader or being given a responsibility. So there's a lot to be learned and a lot to make us move forward as human beings. So on this note, Chairman, thank you so much. We'll call on you again. I believe whenever we call on you, you'll be there to answer us. Thank you so much, sir. We truly appreciate it. And to our beautiful host, Elizabeth, and this Hyacinth, a wonderful, wonderful host. Thank you so much. Thank you. We appreciate it. It's just a pleasure. again, we have to go and look for money. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you and God bless.
We need to weigh 3 layers.